In today's Closer Look, can one senator help the Republican Party broaden its base? Tim Scott of South Carolina is the first African-American senator from the South since Reconstruction, the first black Republican in over 3 decades. And as Scott learns the ropes in the Senate, he's got a message for his party. ABC's Jeff Zeleny went on the road with Scott in Charleston.
Tim Scott is happy to be back home in South Carolina, giving high fives, posing for selfies.
There you go.
In every audience, hamming it up.
This is my cousin. Look at that. Look at his dog.
For 5 years, he's been on a rocket ride, rising from the Charleston County Council to the House of Representatives to the U.S. Senate.
Encourage me.
We caught up with him the day Congress started its 5-week summer break, leaving a long list, including immigration, unresolved.
And it's a hard question to wrestle with, is how to be compassionate for people that you know are coming to your borders looking for a better way of life, and at the same time adhering to the laws of the country.
Congress, both chambers, had 2 months to deal with this, and nothing. Walked away with absolutely nothing. I mean, is it not a crisis anymore?
This is not a crisis that occurred in the last 2 months. The lack of collaboration, and then to show up in the 23rd hour saying, we need you to approve a $4 billion package, it's not the way to do it.
He was appointed to the Senate a year and a half ago, arriving just in time for one of the least productive periods in memory.
Whether you're Republican or Democrat, you look at the Senate and you say to yourself, you shake your head.
But Scott is brimming with optimism and steeped in history. He's not only the lone Republican African-American in Congress, but the only black Southern senator since Reconstruction. I noticed a headline in South Carolina's biggest newspaper earlier this year. It says the GOP hopes Tim Scott will attract more black voters. Do you think you've done that?
I hope what I provide is an opportunity to have a serious conversation with voters everywhere. Black voters, white voters, old voters, young voters.
Why do Republicans continue to struggle so much diversifying their ranks?
We don't need to simply win the demographic war. We need to win the war of ideas.
Black Republicans are a rare find here in South Carolina. Black Democrats are skeptical of its politics.
Well, there's always good to have diversity, but diversity can be skin color and it can be philosophy. I would hope that the Republican Party would be a little more diversified in its approach to governance. Scott
says Republicans should spend more time focusing on poor and middle-class Americans. Have Republicans as a party, though, focused enough on these issues?
I think there's always room for improvement, without any question. One of the things I've said very consistently is that we have to play in the education space. My life was changed because of public education.
Scott grew up on this dead-end street in North Charleston. He thinks of this neighborhood when he gets hate mail or hears condemnations, like when a North Carolina NAACP leader called him the GOP's ventriloquist dummy. When they say those criticisms, do they know that you grew up here?
I mean, at the end of the day, these folks who are criticizing me, very few of them have taken the time to make a phone call, to have a conversation, to have a debate about my agenda. The truth of the matter is that they have no clue who I am or what I stand for.
Conservative leaders are beaming about their new senator, in part because of his opposition to President Obama's policies.
He's a core conservative, and he articulates what he believes and resonates very well with South Carolina Republicans.
And back here we have...
Along the way, Scott started an unusual program, the Undercover Senator. One of his stops, a burrito restaurant, sweeping floors and chopping chicken, all to anonymously listen to voters' concerns. Did anyone have any idea that you were a United States Senator?
Nope. You know, within an hour or hour and a half or so, covered. Typically, someone says, aren't you that guy? No, I'm not Darius Rucker. I'm just Tim Scott.
These days, he's putting on his salesman's hat for the GOP, trying to sell a hopeful message and soften a debate he says is too often inflammatory and shrill. Do you ever feel like you'd like to turn the volume down, though, on some of those senators on both sides on the Senate floor?
Well, let me say, yes. I mean, just to be blunt, absolutely.
On whose microphone?
Well, I can't be that blunt.
In Republican-rich South Carolina, Scott's election in November seems almost assured.
Hey, good to see you, sir. Y'all doing?
It's his next chapter that's still to be written.
There you go.
For This Week, Jeff Zeleny, ABC News, Charleston, South Carolina.